the Technical Trader, techtrader.com at Saturday, the 29th of July. This is the weekend webinar. Well, another pretty good week on Wall Street, as a matter of fact, making new highs, multi-year highs in some cases. The S&P 500, as you can see on Thursday, had a nasty pop and then reversal, but it did not follow through to the downside. And I now consider the 45, 25, 28 zone right there, an important short-term support level. And then we have the 21-day moving average, which comes in about, let's call it 4,500. We get under 4,500, we probably are going to come down towards 4,385, 4,400. But with momentum the way it is right now, we can run up and test levels. We have a double top from way back in early of last year when we reached 46, 35, 37. That will be my immediate target if we extend. And if they're going to test the highs, we're all the way up there in their 4,800 or better. Excuse me. That's the S&P, the Nasdaq 100, also in a tremendous rising channel that's seen it go from 10,750, 15,800 change. Let's see. The high recently was 59.32. So we pulled back and bounced, but look where off of where. The rising trend line, lateral price support, and the Nasdaq 100 continues to stair step higher. Your next target is 16.4 to 16.7 up in that zone. Immediate support would be about 15,375. We'll see where we go from there. Beneath that support is then around 15. Transportation is going bonkers. Take a look at this. Really strong move. If you're coming out of the base pattern, first to declining tops line, which was retested on a falling wedge. The breakout occurred here. That was a key breakout technically, around 14.9. It's gone vertical from 14.9 to 16.7 for 1,800 points just in the last 6 weeks. Fantastic rise. And you can see now we're above this area here and may try to run up into the 17.2 zone. We'll see what the market brings going forward. But very strong indicator and even leader at this point. What about small caps? Well, they haven't quite broken out yet, but you can see the rising channel has brought the IWM ETF tracker for the Russell 2000. 168 to 197 and 198. As a matter of fact, let's see, the high was 197.90, but in the last 6-7 days, we've formed some sort of consolidation as well. Now, Thursday was not a good day for the markets. Friday was. However, it was an inside day, so we can't tell yet. I would closely watch IWM under 193 as well for a pullback to 186.88. We'll see if that occurs, but right now, a breakout across this level, across 200, 202, would be huge for the market and small caps in general. Let's take a look at the underlying technical indicators and where they are. The McClellan oscillator, pretty much neutral at plus 20. It's not really getting too far ahead of itself, is it? That's because advanced declines and up-down volume haven't been wonderful, but although the last few days, the rally we've seen, I've liked what I've seen. The percentage of stocks above their 40, which I track, is in the 68% range, but still not at the levels we've seen before, up in the 80 range, which we did reach recently. 76.60 was a high, actually. So 80, 85 would be a real overbought area. If we get up there, along with the VIX and an oscillator up in the range of overbought, I'd be more concerned. Let's look at the VIX. It's way down in the 13 zone, which is the lowest reading we've seen 3.5 years, but yet not historically low, where we've seen high single digits. However, if this gets above, in my opinion, 17, say above there, I think things could change. Let's watch, keep an eye on these. Now you can see this is one reason why the UVXY hasn't really gone anywhere. But we've got strong indexes, just okay technicals. We'll see what that means. Let's take a look at the big boys. Well, and you'll see some phenomenal trend. Look at this rising channel. Do you see any top here? The answer is no. Can we spike up to 205, 206.7? That's your next target. What about Amazon? No slouch here either. Base resistance 136.5, 3/4. Target 145 and better. Last week's low can be considered a stopping point because under 126, it breaks your moving average, trend line, and price support, and that's all in one fell swoop. So keep close tabs on Amazon for clues to market direction. Google, big recovery. You can see how it was lagging. I've also told you this is a triple bottom base breakout coil. Moving averages crossed over. It then popped right up to the channel. Top, flagged, broke out, retested, breakaway gap last week. This is very strong. I see 139 and 145 as your next targets for Google. And obviously last week's lows, which include the gap. I'd like to see Google hold 128.5, 3/4. That is current support. A break below that, along with Amazon and Apple breaking, obviously would be a good indicator that we may be have problems. Microsoft isn't as strong as some of the others, although the overall trend is beautiful. Did reach the top of the channel, back off. But right now it's on the 50. It's also on price support, not far from the trend line. I would say it's critical. Microsoft hold around 324.5. Upside resistance now is 350 and 365. Longer term target, if the thing continues, 375.85. Microsoft still solid, although the pullback was deeper than some of the others. It still looks totally kind of a falling wedge. Netflix, the weakest of the sisters, as I would say, right to support. A break on Netflix under 410.11 would get me probably to say move aside. The longer term trend, though, if this holds here, could still be intact, even if it got all the way down to around 378.80. I'd like not to see that, of course. Powerful Meta, incredible move from 88 to 325. Not kidding. Since last November, stock was 88.09 on November 4th. And one of the biggest percentage moves I've ever seen for a large cap stock that quickly. And now 325 with a target about 360. Nvidia, incredible move. An AI player, if not the biggest. Now you can see breakaway gap, and this is where we gave you a swing on it right here. And then popped and pulled back, held, and still stepped its way up to go from about 390 to 480, and now flagging and looking like 500, and 535 would be your next targets. So if you're seeing any negatives in the market here by their leadership, I would say look again. Tesla, well, didn't do much. This was a negative reaction to the earnings report, and now it's holding here. But this has to hold, in my opinion, to 254.5. Underneath that, you have 238.40, and those are your two current support levels. I'd like to see this not be a bear wedge, which it appears to be. This could be a left shoulder, head right shoulder as well. So be very careful with Tesla and Netflix in particular, which could be a left shoulder, head right shoulder as well. So those two are keys for me. If they right themselves and keep going, that could support the rest of the market, particularly the Nasdaq 100. And don't forget, it was a rebalancing done a week ago. So at this point, the Nasdaq 100 is just not the same in terms of balancing with power behind Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. Okay, that's look at those ETFs. Now I'll look at some of the ETFs we follow closely. The three groups I follow closely, obviously, semiconductors. Look at it, SMH. Do you see a top here? You see an inverse head and shoulders and a wedge and a breakout and another wedge. 1, 2, and I think 3, 4, 5 is in play. We're at the prior highs, just underneath 159. I think 35 was the high. We went through that slightly. Next target on the SMH would be a move to about 166. So very powerful there. Financials have recovered, although check this out. Connect all these lines. We're at the top of the long-term down channel on financials. So a breakthrough here would be very bullish and get you a target of 83 and 90.92. Keep an eye on the financials. That could be have clues as to where we're going. Biotechs, XBI, LAB, LABU, similar wedges, still in downtrends, not confirming the market, and lagging semiconductors and financials. Just wanted you to be aware of that. Any move below 81 would be very negative for XBI. Move over 87, very bullish. Let's see what happens with biotechs and whether or not they can help or hurt the market. Okay, some more ETFs we follow. Look, I've been wrong about oil. I thought oil was going to be under more pressure based on the overall pattern. But 3 weeks ago, when it broke the declining top line, they went to lateral resistance. I said things have turned and we may test some upper levels. Well, the next level is 150.53, and then 165.66. We'll see if oil continues. We'll also be watching USO, which is similar. And take a look at this quadruple top here. If this is a base in oil that can support a real big run back into the high 70s, low 80s, just for starters, and maybe even back up in the high 80s, 90 range. Just have to see, but oil's looking better than I had before, and the best I've seen it in weeks. Gas, not so much. Although the young, after coming down from the mid-30s to single digits in the 5-6 range, forming a base of sorts. I still need to get a breakout, and for starters, something above 744 and then 783. Those are your two levels of resistance on the UNG to keep an eye on. Looking at the other side, the KOLD, maybe a large consolidation or a large topping pattern. We'll see, but when it came down here from the bear flag and then dropped down, the key now for KOLD is if it gets under 50, sign off. A move over 68 could get you back into the 90 range. So very volatile to say the least, and very high beta on it as well. When it comes to gold, I am just not convinced, and I still am not convinced. This large up channel broken, snap back to resistance and pull back again. I just don't see it, not yet. Maybe we can get a move back on GDX over 33. We're in business. JNUG has got to get back up, and you can see how quickly it pulled back from resistance. So a move above 40.5 could be very bullish for that, but I'm just not seeing it. HEQ as well, similar pattern, maybe even a little stronger because it held its trend line. It popped up, and now it's pulling back to test. So we'll see. I'd be more convinced if I see over 33 on HEQ, then we're headed into the mid-30s and maybe 40. Still, I'm not a big fan right now of precious metals. I do like copper. I will take a look at FCX is moving up. Price of copper has moved up. This is at resistance here. And if FCX gets to 45, 47, 49.5 would be targets. The other stock I follow in that group is Southern Copper, SCCO, which is broken out, folks, to all-time highs. Very intriguing. This could be a very strong relative strength stock, but it's trading in the 80s and it doesn't have the leverage of FCX, for example. So let's take a look at some of the ETFs that we follow closely. And we have a lot of stocks to cover on the long side today. ABCM. If you look at the base breakout, falling flag held, the moving average exploded, and now flagging again. To me, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the wave 5 coming? Well, check this out. If we get a fifth wave, the equivalent of these legs, we could see 30, give or take 2 points. It's 23.5 now. It might make a swing coming up on ABCM. ACHR wedging after a beautiful run, as there was some negative news from the space agency about commercial flights. Anyway, long story short, it's in a beautiful uptrend, but it has had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move. We'll see. Next target would be 7.5 if it does run, and the stopping point would be under 415. ACBA. Auto truck dealerships, and it's been consolidating for a couple of months, a bullish flag like it did there before that move. I also think this is a beautiful base, a breakout leg 1 and 2, leg 3 and 4, and the fifth leg 22 to 25. AEHR, one of our favorites, been very good to us here and there. And I believe we did it a third time there over the last couple of years. Take a look at the channel. Right now, if this just continues in this vein, we're going to look at mid-60s, maybe even mid to high 70s at some point. How about that? AI still coiling near the apex of a 2-month consolidation. Now look at the waves here. We went from 10 to 31, 21 points. Here, we went from 16 to 48, 37 points. Any move here between 21 and 37 points would get us in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. I don't know how far this can go, and I would wait for a breakout above Thursday's high, 43.75. I think gets us going. First stop near 49, and then mid-50s and center. I do not want this one under, say, 35.5. ALGM, adding this week a new one. I've been watching Allegro Microsystems. This is all-time highs since it went public in 2020. And you can see the beautiful run up and pulling back from mid-channel. It's consolidating. I think it goes higher, 60, 62, maybe 68, 70 or better. AMAM with the big pop, falling wedge pop, and then we put a swing out here in the, I think, 7 range. It more than doubled. It got up to 1686. Right now, it's coiling, narrowing near the moving averages. This is time for the stock to get going. Otherwise, it could roll. Stop under 13, over 16.75. I'm looking for 18, 22, 24. AMD, well, again, this is a large cap Nasdaq 100 component. Beautiful chart. Start stepping its way up. Wedge, flag, and another coil. Targets at 133, 145, and 160. If we have to break out. Stop under 107. AMSC, look at the breakout of this base. It exploded last week from 7 to 1163. Now it may need to pull back, back off and retest. Or momentum takes it higher. But either way, I'm looking for a 1, 2, 3, away 4, then a 5 into the mid-teens. APLD, beautiful base, breakaway gap, a run up. This is a tech traded swing, I believe, and this is also coiled, broken out, and now backed off. So what I'm looking for is a move over the weekly high of 11.05 to get this one going with a target of 15. APP, and a tech traded swing when it broke out, and it's continued to work its way higher. Now 31.55. It was up $1.57 on Friday to the highest level it's seen since back in August of last year. New target, 40. 36 and 40. ARCT, base, breakout, 3-wave corrective, pullback, falling flag, which retested the breakout point right there exactly. Held it, and ran up and broke out. Now flagging. Next targets, 40, 47. ARDX, is this coming out of that multi-month coil finally? What a beautiful run it had though. How about June of last year at 50 cents to a high of 513, 10-fold increase. Usually when you get a 1,000% move, you're going to see that kind of a coil. But nevertheless, if it does extend, my targets are 4.25, 1.75. Arlo breaks out of a base and wedges, and then pops and coil and flags, and we put a swing on this one too a while back. It continues to look great. It's flagging yet again. Based on this, I have to put a target in the mid-teens. ATEC, beautiful rising channel after breaking out and testing again. It popped on Friday. Watch 19 resistance. Through that, we're looking at 22, 24. AUPH popped on Friday and broke out across some multiple tops. And a nice pop of 12%. Line picked up. Target is 13.5 and 15. AUR, break out of a gap, form a wedge. We put a swing on it. It popped and ran. Tagged it. Target number 1, it forms not forming a wedge. Next target, 4.5, 3/4. Azul, South American airline, inverse head and shoulders breakout. Break the resistance and target, secondary target. Pull back a wedge. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking for wave 5, 16 and 19 targets. BBIO, base breakout coil. Rising channel and then exploded out of that. Look at the way this looks. I'm looking for 44. 39 and 44 are your targets. BTBT. Crypto related, what a great chart. Rising channel. Where's the top to this? Targets are 5.5 and 7. CAMT. Chemtech has really had a wonderful run from the mid-20s to the high 40s. It's at its all-time high, and any move through here can accelerate, but be careful. This one is overbought. Kava, recent IPO, is now wedging and looking for more. I'm not sure if it's going to do a measure move, but 15 points would be the measure move, which means we're looking at 60 up here. CBay, beautiful rising channel for this biotech. 1, 2, 3, 4. Popped out for to start wave 5 and having 1, 2. I think we see 3, 4, and 5 and get this one high teens. CCL, beautiful inverse head and shoulder base type pattern, breakaway gap, retest, pop, breakout, bull coil, pop and breakout, inside day. It just looks like it's going to 20, 24, 27, etc. CDLX, beautiful long-term inverse head and shoulder breakaway move. We put a swing on it and then flagged and popped. Last week was a great week for it. We moved from about 8 to 11. I'm now looking for 14 and 18. CGNT, well, it worked for a while. It popped out of this flag and ran up to the target zone. Problem is it pulled back down and now it's back to key area at the prior high. So this, and it did bounce, so I'm okay with that. But below 465, stop out. Targets are 5 3/4, 6 1/4, and 7. CLS, long-term strong chart, but the recent action breaking out of a flag and exploding tells me we have momentum for mid-20s. CLSK, also coin realm related. Crypto. Ran to the channel top and now it's got an orderly, smooth pullback flag, but we have to see if it holds support right here. Target 8. Caribou, long-term downtrend, breakaway gap and a big one. Explosive move and a pullback with a downside gap and now a flag. So this has got to hold 6 and get out over 7 with energy to get back to 8 and change, and then maybe 10. CBLG, coming up logistics, all-time highs, beautiful chart. Channel top tells me this could reach 70. Carvana, well, this really worked out for us here and here, but this stock has gone, in my opinion, too far too fast. 670 to 57. When you go 9-fold like that, roughly, that quickly, in a 5-way move, my deal is to take half off the table and put stops in. If it's totally retrace, gets going again and breaks out, retesting 55.6, and then maybe in the 60s and 70s would be a possibility. Very powerful chart, one very strong stock. CWeb, well, Chinese stocks are moving. This is an ETF for China. I didn't put a lot of Chinese stocks on today because they've moved like crazy, and they may move even more. I just want to show you the index ETF broke out with a target now 53 and mid 60s. CWH, beautiful rising channel, downtrend broken, now up against key overhead resistance, flagging. The next target is high 30s. DraftKings swing has worked out great. Broke out here, it broke out there, it's flagged there, it broke out again. Look at it now. 32 3/4 is the highest level we've seen since December of 21, a year and a half. I think we go higher. I'm looking for DKNG to make a move into the low 40s. DBAX, a little junior drug company. Beautiful rising channel in play. The trend flagging, target 15.5 and 17. EDU, the Chinese educator, multi-month consolidation all year basically. Finally broke out and it's running hard, along with TAL. The Chinese educational stocks. This one just broke out on Friday with a big pop. 25%. Chinese aerospace, broke out across resistance, came back and tested it, and now broke out again, and they're stepping higher. 23, 28, 30 are targets. NVX was looking great. This is a tech traded swing. It broke out and ran hard. Pulled back, broke out again, but came right down. But look how it's held. This has to hold 18, 15 right there. If it does, my target's mid-20s. Oil stock Evolution Petroleum broke out over a triple top last week, and I just wanted to show you this because it's actually a quadruple top going back a year and a half. It could augur well for this stock to be 10, 12, 13. EVLO with a V bottom platform breakout and retest. Looks like it could make a move into the high teens, low 20s. This could be a good swing. EVLV with a beautiful base. This is a security protection services company. Popped, coiled, and broke out, but back right off. Nevertheless, I'm looking for more upside. I think we're headed for 8, especially if it holds right there. EXPI breaks out of a base, pops and consolidates, pops again and retests the breakout point and the moving average trend line, and now it's flagging or consolidating again, wedging. 28 and 32 are targets. EXTR, beautiful rising channel, basically breaking out here in June and just kept running from 21 to 29. My target's 35. FNGR, a terrific swing here. We just put a new one on. It's working well already. I believe next week could be a huge week for it. We'll see. I'm looking for a retest of 7 and then maybe 9. First Solar exploded Friday, backed way off. Got up to almost 225, but I get down on 194, finished 208. It's still up 9, but a disappointment. Nevertheless, it's still holding its long-term trend line. Let's see if there's any upside follow through. If so, 232 and 245 are targets. Little GENI popped out of a base. It's flagging. It looks like a nice setup for more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave could get me to about 9, 10 range. Harrow. Well, it was a really big stock for us for months back in the end of the year before, as it went from a low 6 into the high 20s. Then it came down hard and had a rising bear wedge, which led to that falling wedge. It did break out and now it's flagging. I believe this might be reinstituted as a new swing. I'll keep my eyes on this one too. Looks very good. It breaks out of that, headed for 24 and 28. Immunogen popped and we put a swing on it after a flag for a few days. It then went from 12, 13 zone into the low 20s. It's now flagging again. And what I'm looking for is, can this get to 20, 23 quarters, 24 and a half, 5 is your next target. INOD, the beautiful rising channel as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then popped and double topped and backed off in a falling wedge. I like to look at it though. It gets to the double top, 18 is your target. Intel popped out of a base, then had a 3-wave corrective pullback, which took a lot of stops out, including ours, because that was a stop right there. Notice how it had one day down, right back up again. Then it formed a wedge and broke out again, so it's on its way, targeting 40 and 44. IONQ, terrific chart, breakout of the base. Wedge or flag, pop, rising flag, it's still going. Rumors of a takeover here, but 21 and 3/4, 22 target. IoT, Samsara, 1, 2, 3, 4, beautiful coil developing. Watch for this one to go 36 target. Kingsoft breaks out on Friday just slightly out of a 2-month consolidation. Another Chinese player with a target of 10. Open, very disappointed in this one. I thought that this pop, what right there, took that line out, was breakout there, but it did not get through that resistance at 237 and backed off below the 50. Now it is above the breakout point, and this could be a retest of that, but it's got to hold it around here. Could be a steal with a tight stop. LFCR, long 1, 2, 3, 4. May have a 5th wave that takes us into the mid-teens. Breaks out right there. LFMD comes out of a base, surges hard, pulls back down from the wedge on Friday, popped 16%, may have broken out of the wedge. If that's the case, LFMD would be a potential swing here. Also, That looks like your rising channel. Target 7. LI, one of our successful Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer swings, popped out of here. We put a swing on it. I believe in the high 20s. Flagged, ran, and flagged and ran again. It's now nearly doubled to 43. Looking really good for more upside. Target 47. Mara, obviously Bitcoin related. Ran to the top of the channel, pulled back, but very gently. May not be done. $20 target. New swing MKFG exploded and stalled. I put a swing on it and then popped on Friday. 190 to 230 on Friday. Net up 16.5%. If we get through Friday's high, right there where there is resistance, I would look for 2 3/4 and 3.30.35. MLTX, beautiful long-term rising channel, breakaway gap, and a very strong rising flag, which says to me, this could explode out of here and run into the 80s. Micron, put a swing on it, it came down, very similar to Intel, and it came right back up again, also similar to Intel. This one's going to have to get through 75 to get going. Target's 80, 82. Neogen, beautiful engulfing reversal day Friday off of key support. I like that look. We get through here, it's clear sailing, I think, into the high 20s, low 30s. This could be a swing. NERB, long downtrend, popped, flagged, popped again, had a little flag, ran up again, and then backed up. That's the breakout point right there. It's holding. It's also holding the trend line. I would look for a move back up to 13 and maybe high teens. NEO, the other ETF we like in the Chinese sector, has run from 7 to 15. It looks like the next target might be 17. Nikola, low price puppy. Back in early June, it was 52 cents. They popped it, they wedged it, they popped it, and they're doing it again. It's wave 4. The 5th wave target is 4.5. A double. ONCY comes out of a nice base, explodes, and now it's wedging. Keep an eye on this one. My target's 5. Open. Nice rising channel out of a base. Backed off resistance. The next target is 6, 6.25. ORIC also breakout in the flag. With a double top, so through 9, I'm looking for 11, 11.5. Overstock, great swing. Popped and broke out, we put a swing on it, and from the low 20s, it reached the high 30s. At this point, I don't think it's done. We just have to see what kind of angle it takes. But if it should take that angle, we might see it low to mid 40s. PCT flagging as well, coming out of the base. Get this one through 11 3/4, my target's 14, 15 zone. PDCO in the oil sector, I'm sorry, medical distribution, I'm wrong. Breakaway gap and a beautiful, beautiful coil. This pops, it's going to be 35 and 37. Palantir, breakout, run up, pull back and test, break out again and retest. Popped on Friday, big time. Looking for an extension, probably into the mid and then high 20s. PPSI breaks out of a base with a 1-2 coil, 3-4 wedge. We get a 5th wave, but we do 12, 12.5 your targets. Maybe a good swing from here with a nice stop. QBTS, well, it popped, broke out of the wedge, hit the coil. I put a swing on it. It did well for a couple of days and then pulled right back. It's right on support here. This needs to hold 185. QS breaks out of a base, runs up to the resistance and backs off, and then explodes Thursday and Friday. Beautiful angle of ascent, just very sharp. A little bit of resistance just ahead of 14 to targets of 17.5 and 22. QSI comes out of a long downtrend and just rips from $1.41 to almost 4. It pulls back and flags. I like to look for a move to 4.5. RCEL, beautiful stair step channel up. Pull back, retest, breakout, flag and pop, and wedge and pop. I'm looking for 24 and 29. RDW broke out. We put a swing on it, it backed off. It's right on support, it's popped again. Looking for a retest of 4 and then 4.5 3/4. Riot also flagging like Mara in that Bitcoin realm. If this goes some more, I got a mid-20s target. Rivian, one of our best swings this year. As it broke out here, we put a swing on it in mid-teens. It ran up to 28, nearly doubling. It's got a rising wedge. I think the stock goes higher. Wouldn't be shocked to see this make it 32 or 35. Rivian coming on again. One of my top picks of the year in biotech. You can see we're right near the highs for the year. And actually 2-year highs. So next target, 13.75. Roku, put a swing on it, it popped and pulled back and then exploded on Friday, jumping 34% in one day. Your next target, 100, 102. RXRX, pop, falling wedge, explosive gap, and now another little pullback wedge or channel. So what it kind of looks like. I'd like to see if it holds right about there. Next target is going to be retested 16 and then 19.20. Sigma pops in May, coils for a couple of months, breaks out with a breakaway gap and runs through resistance and secondary resistance, backs off and then runs again. Very strong chart. SGMA makes it up to 8.5. Shopify, flagging, long-term trend, beautiful. Retest 71, make it to 77 or more. Sientra, a low price stock that popped and pulled back, filled the gap, and then ran up sharply. Now it's flagging or wedging. The target 6 and 7. Skechers exploded on Friday for 529 or 10% on strong earnings, broke out of a triple quadruple top flag type pattern. I'm looking for 59.60. SLNO pops out of a long downtrend, pulls back, then runs up and forms a tight wedge or coil. Breaks out of the coil and runs sharply from 2 to about 6, 7. 620 to be exact. And then I'm coiling it again. I think a fifth wave gets me to 8 or 9. This could be a great swing. It's SMCI, that we first noticed this in the 70s and 80s. It just kept going and then broke out here, coiled. And sure enough, in 224, I said this could be 300. Well, guess what? How about 337? Where's it going? 400, 450, 500? Very possible, but when this gets hammered, look out. SOFI, an ascending bull coil underway after a big run up. 12 and 13.75, 14 are your targets. SOXL, it's standard. This has been a swing for months now, back in January, but it's doubled and now looks higher, targeting 33 and 37. Teledoc, explosive breakout, put a swing on it. It ran up a little and backed off the test, but I think if it gets to 30, 34 and a half your target. Nice base breakout underway, potentially. Look out that declining top sign. Thread up. Well, originally thread up popped here. I put a swing on it and then coiled for a while, broke out and made a move to near the first target and backed off. Still in a rising channel. My target's 4.75. Chinese investment management firm Tiger breaks out after a long downtrend. Pops sharply on Friday, up 21%. Lion picked up as well. Your targets at 4.5 and 5.5. Tandem popped, looks like it almost broke out on Friday, then pulled back. I still like the overall look. It continues to trend. We're looking for the low 40s. Trade desk, right back to resistance on a beautiful rising channel from the low 40s to the low 90s. Index target is 100. Tupperware exploded, had an inside day, and then exploded again with an inside day Friday. I don't think it's done yet. I think 6 and 7, maybe 8 could be had. This is a real strong Momo stocks. Reminds me of FNGR when I was running. Uber, been strong, long on this one since it was here in the 20s back in January. It's made it to almost 50 now. 50 is my target, followed by 55. UIS, love this little base breakout of flag. And we get to here, it's going to be $8 stock. Great swing, and it's still in play. ULBI exploded with a breakaway gap Thursday, had a nice inside day Friday. My target is 9 short term. start. Phenomenal move from the May low at 1193 to Thursday's high at 67.22. This is almost a quote 400% type move. It doesn't look done yet. Target 75. URGN exploded Thursday, Friday, and broke out of a base. I think we get up to high 20s, 28.9 is the target. VERA came out of a mini base and now it's flagging. I just want you to see this because it does pop. Targets at 21 and 24. VRT in a beautiful rising channel now flagging. Looks like it isn't done yet. There is overhead resistance up here, but I think you might see high 20s, 30. Weaver, they're breaking out of flagging, popping is flagging yet again, and my target now is 15. Weight Watchers pop, breakaway gap, then a falling wedge, and then a pop and a nice little wedge above the moving averages, which are crossing over, one of my favorite patterns. And then a run from 770 to 12 and change. I think we're headed to 17. XPEV, the other Chinese stock that I love, look at that chip move. Under 8, almost this is a triple just since June. It's had 5 waves up, so be careful up here. But momentum could carry it into the high 20s. XPO Logistics, my favorite, one of my 2 or 3 favorite trucking shipping firms. What a run of late. Pops, flags, breaks out and runs, extension target 89. And that is it for me today, folks. I'll cover the longs at another date. I don't have enough data yet. I'm doing some research continually. And the ones that I have in my list for box and shorts just don't look that attractive to me. Not yet anyway. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you on Monday. Make sure you review this a couple of times. There's a lot of solid information to prepare you for next week. Bye for now.